What was the YouTube channel Wise Guys
Wise
about?
Guys.
Yeah,
Wise Guys.
yeah.
It was just it was, what we talked about, comedy you can't do anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it was, we were just doing it. So what ended up happening after I did my film, I did a video called, I can't even say it. That's basically how it
wow.
is. It was for Funny or Die. So we did
wow.
we did a video for Funny or Die, and it just went viral. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I like this model. I like the instant gratification, because in a film, there was no instant gratification. You have to write, okay, or you got the script,
Yeah.
you're putting together, you're waiting, you're sitting there, okay, you got to make an offer to this guy, and then this actor comes and he gives you his notes or his theory or his idea, and then you got to figure out, well, do I like his idea, or do I think he's full of shit, or you know what I'm saying? Do I want to conform? Now I'm like artistically challenging myself. So it's all that. So with the YouTube stuff, we were like, it was like you did a skit, did a video. It felt like SNL, and College Humor was huge at the time. And
Dude, Funny or Die. I've probably seen it because I've watched like tons of Funny or Die.
so it was just like, and we had like these cartoon animations with it. So it was really ridiculous. But anyway, that gave me the branch, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start shooting these things and doing them. And sure enough, it blew up, and we were doing them every week, and we were doing like 3 or 4 videos. But it was hard to keep up because we were doing like 3 or 4 videos every week, and we were shooting with Reds, and we were shooting with high-end cameras. But it was a lot of work. And then I ended up from that, we were like, you know what? Let's just do this original series kind of ideas on the channel. And I did one called Gio's Pizza, which was this cockamamie story that I had going on about me and this rat, the situation that I had with his rat, which was hilarious. And I told the story. We made the video. Anyway, that kind of jumped off, and we had a lot of guys on that who actually were on that web series that actually blew up, and they're in Marvel shows now, whatever. Wow. And then we kept going there, and then I had an idea. I was like, I'm gonna do another one called Borderline. So Borderline was like an idea that I had about a kid who's the son of a cartel member who's basically bipolar. But his father disappears. He gets to take over the cartel, and he wants to bring the cartel into the social media age. You know what I mean? And anyway, we did it as a web series, and we were gonna release it on the channel. And then we ended up cutting the trailer. A young lady over at Hulu saw it, and she's like, hey, is this a 30-minute show? And I was like, yeah, it's a 30-minute show. Of course.
That's what we wrote it for.
That's what we wrote it for. She's like, oh, can I see the pilot? And we shot it as webisodes, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, so I'm like, oh shit. She's like, yeah, we're looking for 22-minute content shows. Big fan of The Office, big fan of those shows. I was like, shit. I was like, all right, let me cut this together. So I took whatever episode stuff we had and cut it together as a 22-minute. She ended up like, oh, I like this. We're gonna put it on our main platform. We're featuring this. And so I was like super excited. And then got into some politics stuff because the show was originally pitched to Hulu Latino, because there was a Hulu Latino version coming up. But the lady was from Hulu. She was from the main thing. And then the guy from Hulu Latino got mad that she got the show. And then they got into a fight with the producer, and it turned into this whole thing. And our success story turned into like, well, fuck this deal. And in Hulu, it got fucked up. And then around my birthday, I had a friend. He's like, you know what? I told him about the Hulu thing. He's like, hey, I just met this guy who has this deal over at Amazon. And sure enough, like, well, let's send him. And they're like, all right, send us the episode. And Amazon saw it, and they're like, we like this. Let's go. And then I had to figure out how to shoot the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I only shot a web series. You know what I'm saying?
The rest of like the season?
The season. So I had to, because the minimum at that time, the way they were scheduling a season was 6 22-minute episodes. So they would categorize that as a series. They're like, well, do you have a minimum of 6? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. I didn't have shit. I mean, I had just a bunch of webisodes the way I shot it. And then we just ended up taking the advance and just shooting the rest of it and delivering it to them. And then that came out in 2015.
Dude, I love that. Yeah. It's like every step, you want to just make sure you continue closing the deal, whatever it is. Yeah. Right? Like that's awesome.
Yeah, find a way and get it done, dude. But then that's like such a great mentality, I think, for people to see that want to make it in Hollywood is like, yeah, I shot a web series, but I'm not gonna tell you that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna find a way to make it onto the platform and make what I really want to make on top of it. So it's like you just gotta find a way, you know. And a lot of people I think are like when they get told no, they're like, oh dang, that sucks, you know.
Yeah, and then now's the days you can't say no. I mean, the cool things we have the tools, but it's harder now, right? Because there's more
Yeah.
fish in the sea now.
Yeah, there's a lot out there now, a lot of platforms, a lot of competition, you
A
know.
lot of content.
Yeah, a lot of content. Yep. And it's kind of like, but I feel like, you know, the bigger, you know, studios and platforms have been making a lot of content, right? But I feel like now, and maybe just because I'm doing it too, it feels like there's a lot of indie filmmakers and people making stuff that, you know, I think maybe that they want to, but in that same right, you know, where it's like, well, look, I actually can get a better deal if I make something and go sell it to one of these guys, you know? And they're looking for that too, right? Like,
I was watching Mr. Beast on the Lex Friedman podcast,
Right.
and he was essentially like, they were talking about who he hires for like his crew, right? Because he always has like a crew around him of friends that help. They're like PAs, but also producers and partners and friends, all kind of in one, right? Nolan, Chris, people like that. But he's like, I mainly hire people from film or people that want to get into film. But then he goes, I always ask, what do you want to do? What do you want to end up doing? And they're like, oh, I want to be a film producer. And he goes, wrong. Like, you want to be a YouTube producer with me, aka the biggest YouTube producer.
Right.
And like, that's what you want to be doing because this is what you should be doing, right? So I feel like that works because he's like 100% in on YouTube and like it works for him that way. But it was interesting to hear because I think maybe only a handful of people could say that because I think like getting into film is still the better route in my opinion because that's what I do too.
Right.
But like it was interesting to hear that of like we're actually at an age where working for Mr. Beast is actually, you know,
probably more
As
profitable.
more clout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more clout.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, where would you rather go work for, Joe Rogan or CNN?
oh, Rogan. all
Rogan,
day.
right?
Yeah.
All day, right? So it's like, and who's got more eyeballs, Rogan or CNN? Rogan, right? So
Yeah.
it's like we're in that world. So it's kind of interesting, which I feel like, you know, because I came backwards. I did a film, then I went on YouTube because YouTube was kind of blowing up in there, and it started becoming.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
I think what changed YouTube was because remember the first YouTube videos, they looked like shit. They looked like pixelated little trashy videos, like. But when it started, like actually the content actually started looking better, and then there was people like Adam McKay who, you know, who saw the vision, and you know, when you see somebody that legit, you're like, oh wait, these guys do legit films.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You know, and they're working with Will Ferrell, but they're doing this. You know what I mean?
So Will Ferrell this
Gives
morning.
it validity.
It gives it validity, and then you figure. But it's. I feel like I keep saying this. Like I feel like we're in a time where it's like, if we look back, what happened to the music industry? I feel
Yeah.
like it's happening to the movie industry. Like we're at a point where before you used to, if you were an artist, you wanted to blow up either in New York or LA. You had to come to it because all the A&Rs there, all the gatekeepers are there. But now you got guys that blow up in their local areas. They can get a following. They get 1 million people to follow them. They get shows. They get all that
Yeah.
stuff. They have a career actually in that little local area. And then the machine looks at them and be like, wait, he's already got a career. He's already making money. Let's just put more money behind him. And now we take him globally or international.
Yeah, or they make like a big TikTok song that people dance to, right? And then boom, it's like, here's 1 million followers on TikTok. Let's build around, like you're saying.
Well, the whole SoundCloud era, right? The whole
Yeah.
like, what was it? Was it
Napster.
Little Pump? Yeah, Little
Oh,
Pump.
yeah,
Little
yeah.
Pump. And the Takashis, like they just blew up off of no label, no nothing. They just knew how to strike an algorithm.
I love that too. I love there are definitely pros and cons to all that, right? But I do like how more people have access to a voice and to an audience.
Yeah, you can, and then giving people the ability to have an audience, it changes everything. Because how many people have got hired in film just 'cause, as you know, part of the conversation, just because they have a big following, you know?
Yeah.
See, I'm not saying he's not talented by any means, but because it's not true, he's very talented. But like somebody like King Batch, you know,
Right.
and he gets all these films. Then he became a great, you know, in the space as well. But I'm like, it's because of the following, you know. It's the same thing like with The Rock with wrestling, right? When he was the highest paid actor at the time for his first film, made like $5 million for the Scorpion King because he brought a following with him.
Brought a following,
and it might have not been social media, but it was wrestling. You know, like it's,
right.
You had the eyeballs. So there's value there, right? Social media is currency when you really break it down. If you're able to get people to, you know, interact and buy things and download your
if you know how to utilize it, because there's guys that, you know, I know guys that they have their social media, they got followers, and they just do dumb videos and they know nothing. But if you know how to utilize it, it's like wrestling, right? Like The Rock knew that he was a character. He knew he played a character. He knew how to play that. He knew how to draw people in, and he took that into the movie business and then just kept it rocking. You know,
it's very, very interesting. It's same with Arnold. He had a stage presence because he was a performer and an entertainer, right? He worked on his body. He'd go on stage at Mr. Olympia and rock the crowd, right? He would do Pumping Iron documentary, and like he was a showman. And like then that transfers. Like you have the audience, some sort of, same with The Rock, performer, entertainer. You know, I feel like all that kind of translates. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video.
And subscribe and hit the bell for a whole lot more to come.